It's time for Success in Real Estate with Frankie Griffin, owner and broker in charge of the Palmetto Success Team, certified residential specialist, accredited buyer representative, military relocation professional, real estate appraiser, and author of Success in Real Estate. If you are interested in buying or selling a home, investing in real estate, or having your home appraised, you will enjoy Success in Real Estate. Now, here's Frankie Griffin.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Success in Real Estate. I'm Frankie Griffin, broker in charge and appraiser. Thank you so much for tuning in. It is a very fine day today. I love it when it's this cool. It just feels good, and which kind of flows in very good with what our show's going to be dealing with today, talking about your heating and air unit, your HVAC system, because there's always that transition from cooler weather to warm weather, and you want to be ready for it because you don't want it to get hot and then realize your unit is not cooling the way it should. So we're going to be talking a lot about heating and cooling today, mostly cooling. And as always, obviously, if you're thinking about buying or selling a house, love to help you with that. Please give us a call. Love to help you with that endeavor. Make sure you're very informed when you're making these decisions when buying and selling. You can always go to my website. You can find my contact information there. It's just www.frankiegriffin.com. frankiegriffin.com. And today in studio, I've got my friend Tim Mosley with Carolina Conditions is in studio. And Tim's been on the show a number of times now. But, Tim, how you doing this morning, brother?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much, Frankie, for having me on the show again.
Well, it's always a pleasure. And I tell you, you know, real estate has really picked up, and we've been so busy here lately. And, you know, of course, Carolina Conditions is who we highly recommend, and our clients typically will respond to what we think or what we suggest anyway. And so, you know, Jeremy, one of your technicians, comes out an awful lot, and he does such a great job. And I think that's sort of key to being successful is you have so the staff is so good.
They're fantastic, and it's one of my biggest challenges as an owner of the company. To find people like that, and I was so lucky a couple years ago to run across Jeremy, and he has been a staple, a true staple of the company.
Right. Well, I see, you know, Jeremy comes out a lot, and then I actually had the pleasure of meeting your service manager.
Yep.
What an awesome guy. I mean, he was very nice, very informative, and was explaining things as he was going through, and this was just a couple days ago. But, I mean, you're doing very well putting the right people together, so that helps out so much.
Well, I appreciate that, and I know you've definitely referred us a lot out there lately, and I really do appreciate that. Well,
let's start out, and first of all, for you listeners, if you have any questions, obviously give us a call, if you will. The number is 799-8255, 799-8255, and or you can always email a question if you'd like to frankie@frankiegriffin.com, or you can go on my Facebook page and leave a question. And I've actually got a question already on Facebook for
Great.
you, Tim. And this is from Edwin, and his question is, what's the most efficient way to get more air to certain rooms?
That's a great question. There's a couple different things that we can look at. Usually that's a ducting issue, but it is very closely correlated with the load on the room. Because you know, a room on the south side of the house, on the west side of the house, those are going to be warmer.
You're right.
And you can solve that. And I know we spoke about this before the show. You can solve that a couple different ways. It really just depends on what kind of intensity we're talking about. We can improve the airflow to the room a couple different ways. Work on the supply or the return side. Another way is to take a look at the equipment. The optimal way to solve an issue like that is with a variable speed fan. That can be a little pricey, but not always. We can take a look at that.
So that's not something that comes with the unit when you buy the unit?
When you buy a new unit, it's an option.
Okay.
It's an option on the higher-end units. The advantage to a variable speed fan is you can set the thermostat to circulate, and that'll continuously move the air throughout the house and really reduce those temperature peaks and troughs.
And I've got some more questions along those lines, but we've got some phone callers right now on hold, so let's go straight to our phone lines. Where first up, we've got Rob. How you doing, Rob?
Good morning, y'all folks. We appreciate this on energy this morning.
Yes.
Got a question about energy rebates. When the cost of the rebate is really enough to justify, say, on the geothermal or going alternative. Second kind of question tying into that is, why is South Carolina the only state, given that we are the Grand Strand, or is what some people might not affectionately call China Beach right now instead of Myrtle Beach, but why do we not have any rebates or incentives for solar water heaters and solar systems in a state like ours, which is Sonny, and I understand we're the only one out of 50 that does not offer it.
That's a great question.
Well, South Carolina, we like to lead the way, apparently.
That's right.
And
lead the way of being behind. Huh?
Yeah. We want to make sure, we want everybody to prove whether something's good or bad, and then we'll decide then. I mean, Rob, that's a great question. I certainly don't have an answer for that. In fact, you're saying a solar hot water heater? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I know that in North Carolina, on top of an old mill house, and in fact in Marion, North Carolina, up in Appalachia, Duke came around about 30 years ago and offered all those old folks, would you like to have a solar water heater on your roof? And they said, as long as it doesn't cause it to collapse. And those solar water heaters you see on those tin roofs, really 1970s technology, but the people are thrilled with those preheaters, and then they got a little incentive, of course, back in addition to saving energy. And I'll never forget an 80-year-old woman telling me, man, that water's hot. So the thing is that South Carolina, are we just protecting the utilities and their lobbyists?
In fact, Tim and I were discussing some of what you were talking about and bringing up during the show. And Tim,
Well, Rob, I am not the guy to talk to about politics. I can tell you that. When it comes to the solar hot water, though, I'm a big fan of it. It's not something that my company does, but I have done some research on a personal level. I look forward to installing one of the systems on my house very soon. I've actually got a heat pump water heater that I put in a year or two ago, and at the time, SCE&G was offering a $250 rebate on that, and it has, even in the 2 years I've had it, it's paid for itself.
Wow!
Yeah, it's fantastic. I just picked it up at the hardware store and put it in, learned about it. But by no means am I an expert in that field. As far as the solar PV goes, electrical generation, I do know that there are some rebates, or I shouldn't use the term rebate, it's more of a tax credit. There's a 30% federal and a 25% state tax credit available.
So South Carolina is offering some sort of a tax credit.
That's correct. For photovoltaic solar, that is correct.
Well, I live in a little community that's highly depressed. However, one of our charities here, Christ Central Ministries, was given a system from a benefactor out of Canada, and they generate 40% of their electricity with solar. And Lawrence Electric Co-op has been very cooperative in integrating them into the grid. So they get about 40%, and on a good day, they may actually produce half their electricity with about 225 by 12 panels facing south and southwest. Unfortunately, I've heard that they did not get the same cooperation when they wanted to install a system in Columbia. They were refused to put that on to allow to wire that in.
Yes, sir. And SE&G really is you have to get a permit not only from the county or your local jurisdiction, but also through SE&G. And they want to come out and do a site survey and make sure it's safe, for their line technicians, and it's installed properly.
Awesome. Rob, appreciate it. Hope that helps you out a little bit.
Appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Have a good one. All right. That's interesting. See, I didn't even know you did all that stuff or knew all that stuff.
I know a lot of stuff.
There's apparently nothing he doesn't know. But I would like to go back to what we were talking about in the first part of the show, in trying to get air evenly distributed throughout the house. And you say there's a fan that we can have installed?
Yes, sir. And in some of the higher end equipment, and I don't want to say higher end, that's not really the right term, but I would say an upgrade when you replace your heating and air system. Go with a variable speed motor, a blower motor. That allows a lot more flexibility with comfort, has some humidity reduction benefits. The variable speed fan, when mated with the proper thermostat, allows you to set up a function called circulate, where it will constantly move the air throughout the house, which has some air quality benefits if you've got some good filtration set up, and it also will help decrease those temperature highs and lows in certain rooms.
Because I know, and you know, I've got a 3-bedroom house, and 2 of the bedrooms are on the front part, which is right where the sun sets, and it just beams into those, and it's just hot. And the rest of the house is fine.
Right.
My sons, which is time for them to move out anyway, are complaining a lot about it being hot, and it is very hot. So now this fan. Is it just one fan that would handle both these rooms? We need one for each room?
No, it's actually the blower that moves the air throughout the entire system.
Oh, okay.
So short of replacing your entire system, and that's a stretch for a lot of folks, and I understand that, there is some ducting tweaks we could do. I know when we install new ductwork, we damper everything at the trunk line, so we can make easy adjustments, room to room for airflow. If you're not ready for that, if the system isn't ready for a full replacement, we can add a damper, or 2, or we can increase the line size, add a return. There's several things we can look at.
Well, I want Jeremy to come on out next week to take a look at that.
You got it.
Because that's something we really need for sure. And you hear, and it's a lot, even. And it's not just resident homes, it's commercial businesses. You'll notice is the temperature is different in some rooms than other parts.
It's critical to properly design your heating and air system when it's installed. It absolutely is.
Well, see, that's why you have to do that, not me. But let me change the subject a little bit, because one of the things that you do also is when you come out to inspect, you're not just making sure the unit's functioning properly. We're also looking to make sure the air quality is good. Because, and I see this a lot, a lot of people have runny noses and always feel like they're sick, don't feel good all the time. And it may have a lot to do with the air quality in their house, which is where they're spending their time. Think that's where you're safe. And the whole time you're at home, that's what's making you sick. Possibly.
Yeah, we've got so many people that call us and will say just that. They'll leave their home, they'll go to work, they'll go on vacation, they'll go out of town, and they feel great. They come home and they feel sick again.
Yeah.
And that's a very difficult thing, especially for a heating and air guy, to say, you know what, this is what's going to fix it.
Yep.
So usually when it's a severe case, I'll recommend obviously go see a doctor first, and let's find out what you're allergic to, what you're having a reaction to, and then we can take a look at the products out on the market and find the one that's best suited to treat those symptoms.
But Tim, very few people, or at least people I know and talk to, actually have their ducts cleaned.
Yes.
On a regular basis. And by the way, how often do you recommend cleaning ducts?
There's some different schools of thought out there. I'll share mine with you. I'm a 10 to 12 year kind of guy. The Air Duct Cleaners Association recommends 5 to 7. I prefer to inspect. At 5 to 7, let's take a look at it. Mm-hmm. We'll see the condition of it. We'll talk to the owner. How are you feeling? Are you seeing a lot of dust and dirt in the house? Is it appropriate?
Yeah.
But generally, at 10 to 12 years, it gets to be about the time where the need meets the cost, and the value is there for most people. And
and it would seem to me the ones that need to be cleaned first or new homes. Because they install the duct work, and invariably they're still doing work in the house, and sawdust and all kinds of trash gets in the duct, and of course the humidity and moisture accumulates in there, and then stuff starts growing, and not very good stuff. I mean, are you seeing that as a problem, or is that?
It's not. It's. I wouldn't classify it as a major issue, but I have seen some brand new homes that are ridiculously dirty inside, and that's more a factor of the contractors that have been involved and how careful they are with not getting debris in the ductwork. I know when we install new construction, we block off the registers. We'll physically put something in there that won't allow anything to fall in.
And Tim, I know from on the real estate side, things have really been busy. Praise God for that. Been very busy, and I assume Carolina Conditions is very busy as well.
We are, in large part thanks to you.
Good.
For allowing us to come in and help with your classes.
And that's such a huge, by the way, since you bring that up, because we as real estate, we don't know much about heating and air at all. I know if it feels comfortable. If it don't, then we know who to call. But Bud comes in and speaks a lot, and he does an awesome job of explaining things and putting it on the level that those of us that have no idea other than how maybe to turn the switch on.
That's right.
That's about all we know about it, and he does such a great job. But I mean, are you expanding and getting busy?
We really are. I'm always looking for good people. Let's clarify that now.
Awesome.
We do have a position available for an installer, and I realize that the good installers right now are under houses, so they're probably not listening to the show.
Yeah, really.
But if anybody listening does know somebody in the heating and air business that is an honest person, a lot of integrity, hard worker, ambitious, looking to do good things and work for a really strong and growing company, I am looking.
Well, does that require a license of some sort, or just experience?
There is some licensing involved, which we can help them get if they don't have it. Experience, I would like to find somebody with 2-3 years experience at least. Mm-hmm. More is better.
Somebody that can go to work.
That's right, and it really depends on the individual. Right. I don't want to put a wall around a certain title or something like that. It's right. More about it's the right person, and you've met my employees that have come out and met you, and that's what I'm looking for, that kind of person. Very
happy, very never had anybody show up seem like they kind of hated they're working at the moment and want to get off. And I pick on Jeremy. Just seems like he always is the lucky one to get my calls. It seems like, but he is so helpful and explaining the stuff, and that's the other thing I really like, because when he comes out to do the inspection, he will leave what he would recommend, maintenance type issues in some cases, and that's very just to know what we need to do to the system, because if this maintenance is not done, preventive maintenance is much cheaper than corrective maintenance. And I assume the same would apply in heating and air.
Absolutely. It's a lot easier to change your filters and clean the coils once a year than it is to replace a compressor or replace a blower or replace an entire system.
You're absolutely right. And you do. So do you recommend that once a year or twice a year?
We've got a service agreement put together that really is very comprehensive. It's very effective when we've got people signed up with it. We'll come out twice a year. We will clean the evaporator coil once. We'll clean the condenser coil once. We'll check all the amperages, voltages, check all the connections, make sure that the system is performing at its designed efficiency.
Yeah.
We'll check the ductwork. We'll do a very comprehensive look at it twice a year. Keep it in good shape for you.
Well, should my unit? Well, I guess what I'm looking for is maybe signs that I may need some maintenance, if there are any. But if it's like I keep my thermostat on 75. Is that normal? Is that a good?
I always tell people, set it where you're comfortable.
Well, I couldn't afford that.
Well, comfortable not only how you feel, but how you pay.
Right, yes.
Comfortable.
Well, so if I keep it on 75, if I start noticing the unit's like constantly running.
It's going to do that in the extreme temperatures. Humidity has a big effect on it, as does the outdoor temperatures. systems are supposed to be designed for a certain load or installed. They come in increments of half-ton sizes, and the company that installs them new should be doing a load calculation and determining the proper size for the house. That load calculation is based on the heat load that the house needs to maintain a set temperature, and in the Columbia area it's around 94 degrees. So anything above 94 degrees, you can run into a situation where it does run continuously, won't cycle on and off, and that may be normal, that may be okay. It really is only a real concern when it won't maintain temperature.
Well, again, if you have any questions, give us a call, 799-8255. Love to hear from you if you have any questions. And this just sort of popped in my head, but there are some people that have issues with humidity, and then there are others that have issues with it being too dry.
Right.
The house dries up. Is there any kind of regulator, something you can?
There's different ways to approach those. They're two separate issues.
Yep.
That have two separate solutions. So it really is a case-by-case basis. So I can't say this is the answer for everybody with either of those issues, but they do have several types of dehumidifiers. The different quality or grades of equipment offer different controllability or reduction of humidity. It really just depends on what you're looking at. Of course, there are humidifiers as well. We don't do too many humidifiers in this area, but a lot of dehumidifiers.
Well, I'm thinking the more we can dehumidify, within reason. You could get it too dry, I guess.
Yes.
But it would be easier to heat and cool if it's not as humid.
That's right. You're talking about latent heat, basically.
Yeah.
When a heating and air system attempts to change the temperature of the air, it's got to change the temperature of the water in the air first. So a system that is running at high humidity, 80, 90% humidity, it's going to run continuously, and you're never going to be comfortable. It's going to feel sticky in the house. So you want to make sure that the humidity is being addressed.
Well, then the other question I got, and I assume we probably got a couple minutes maybe in this segment, but what we were in fact, Rob called earlier this morning was talking about the solar source of energy. Does that work for the heat and air unit? Can you do stuff like that too?
You can, and I've got a system on my house. I've got 6 panels on my house that I've enjoyed over the past couple of years. I'm not going to say it cut the power bill in half, but it has reduced it quite a bit. Most of the solar systems out there, the PV, the electric generation systems, will power the house. Some of the manufacturers out there will allow the power to be fed right into the outdoor unit. But the bottom line is that's how it enters the house. It powers the house.
Okay. Well, and any time we can use the sun versus SE&G, nothing against SE&G, we need to power it, but
that's right.
I assume it's a lot cheaper to use the sun.
Well, after you've paid for the equipment installed, it's free.
well, let's go. We got a couple minutes maybe left, but on the phone line we got Michael. How you doing, Michael?
Fine. How are you?
Good. We got about a minute and a half or so, Michael. What kind of question you got?
Well, I have a unit above the garage, a heating and cooling unit, a window unit, and it's probably 30 years old, and it's still working. But I got a feeling that it's going to be going out. I just wondered, do they still make those to replace, or do you have to get a completely different unit?
There's a few options. It depends on what you've got. If it's truly a window unit, is it a window unit or a wall unit?
It's a window unit.
Okay. Yeah, you can go to the hardware store and pick up a new window unit. Probably, my suggestion, if you want to stick with that, stick with the window unit. When it breaks, just go buy another one, because the cost to repair a broken window unit is probably going to exceed the cost of a new one.
Yeah,
well, that's what I figured. So there are units available that you can go and just pull that old one out of it's a casing that comes out of just kind of like an old air conditioning window unit.
There are.
And they have those.
Yep, if you can get a hold of the manufacturer, if it's a specific opening, those systems can work fine. They're noisy. They're not that efficient. There are some other options out there if you're looking to improve the temperature control and energy cost, though.
Okay. Michael, great question. Appreciate you calling in.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Hope you have a great day. Love to help you any way we can, anything real estate related. And speaking of a real estate related question, Tim, I have for you. And by the way, I do have Tim Mosley, owner of Carolina Conditions, in studio. But Tim, a lot of, I won't say problems, but potential problems, I see in houses going on the market. A lot of people, it's more and more common, we're starting to see sunrooms and Florida rooms and stuff like that on a house that they've added or closed in a screen port, something like that. And although it's very nice, it's a very nice, comfortable sitting area just to sit out and relax, but typically there's no air. Other than maybe they put a ceiling fan in there. But when there's no air in that unit, more times than not, it can't be counted as heated square footage. But if we could make it heated square footage, one, it creates more value than what that sunroom already does. Plus, it's a lot more comfortable to actually sit out there year-round. So what, I'm not saying we need to maybe run a bunch of duct work out there and put in a brand, but what
that can be an option, and you see that quite frequently, where people will put an addition on the home, a small addition, and if the system that handles the house is of high enough capacity, we can run a couple ducts out there, and that'll help. Now, the load on a sunroom or an addition is going to be much different than the rest of the house. So if you think that's going to make it comfortable year-round, it's just not.
Right.
And chances are it's going to waste a lot of energy because you're not going to go out there in the summertime. But you're still going to be blowing conditioned air out there. So you just wasted money with that. Another better option, albeit a little more expensive, but if you can use that square footage year-round and then count it as heated and cooled space on the house, square footage on the house, a better option would be a mini split system. And we did discuss that on the last call, but a mini split system is just like it sounds. It's a small split system, and you've seen them all. I really like the Mitsubishi product, so if you're curious about that, take a look at the Mitsubishi website. Just type in mini split.
Okay.
And there's a lot of options out there. They're very efficient. They do a great job because of the technology that's used in them, maintaining a constant temperature in the room. It keeps the air moving. They're fantastic machines. And like you just said, one, it's going to create more value because it can now be considered heated or heated living area. Well, you're thinking about it as a real estate agent. I'm thinking about it as somebody who wants to be comfortable in the home.
Well,
they get both. They get both.
You're right. Because, in South Carolina, it's either cold or it's hot. There's very little in between.
There's 3 or 4 days in between.
Well, so you got that room that you can't use a lot if you don't have something like this. And did you say how much something like this might run?
It's going to vary depending on whether we're talking new construction, if we're coming in after the fact. There's a lot of variables involved, but a safe number to budget would be between $3,500 and $4,000.
Okay. And that's not cheap. It's not for me. It wouldn't be.
It's not. Brian
could write a check and wouldn't think nothing about it. But but it would be so worth it. One, like you said, just the enjoyment aspect of it. You could actually enjoy that room a lot more.
You've gone to the expense and effort of adding this space to your home, and you're not going to be able to use it most of the year without a system that's got its own thermostat. It controls the temperature in that room independently, because of the load on that room is much different than the rest of the house.
Well, I kind of like that. I like that a lot, these split systems. I might be looking at some of that too. But time we got left, let's go straight to our phone lines and talk to Victor. How you doing, Victor?
Hey, how you doing today?
Oh, it's such a fine day today.
Yeah, it's a beautiful one, ain't it?
Oh, yes. I got Tim Mosley in studio. It don't get any better.
Well, I called today. It's not an air question. Sorry about that.
That's fine.
But I bought a foreclosed home about 3 years ago in the Rosewood area here in Columbia, and finishing up everything. It was pretty bad back in the day, but now we're almost there.
Awesome.
My contractor, though, he wants to close in my garage. I got a carport now. It's going to need some work to get kind of up, but was wondering what your thoughts were on that, whether it might be worth it dollar for dollar when I sell it.
Well, the biggest thing to look at, well, first of all, you got to make sure you meet certain criteria to be able for it to be counted as living area. And one is sort of what we were just talking about. How are you going to heat and cool that room?
Well, I guess I wasn't really planning on heating and cooling it, and I guess I wasn't really planning on counting as, square footage for the house.
Okay.
Just the added benefits, I guess, of a garage over a carport.
Okay. I'm sorry. You're talking about, I thought you were wanting to enclose it and have like a den or something out there.
No, sir.
No, yeah, I misunderstood what you said. So you're wanting to go from a carport to a garage.
Exactly right.
Okay. Well, what I would look at or to consider is houses around you in that neighborhood. Do they mostly have carports or garages?
Well, I don't know if you know the Rosewood area like I know it. I've been living out here, but not a lot of garages, not really any carports. Sometimes if there is, it's just separated from the house kind of thing, and
right.
Not very formal, No. Formal garage might put me above.
I wouldn't want to go too far overboard with that, Victor. I mean, will there be some value in a garage over a carport? There will be. But without really looking and doing some investigation, it's really hard to say whether you're going to get all your money back out of it, or you may get more money than what it costs you to put it there. It's just, I know that didn't help you at all, but without actually crunching some numbers and looking into it, I really don't know that I can help you any more than that.
Okay. Well, I know there's a lot of moving parts to it.
Yeah. Well, if there's something I can do, if you'd like me to check something out for you, just give me a call. I'll come out and look at it if you'd like.
Sure. I can do that.
Well,
thanks for having me.
All right. Have a great day, buddy. All right. And again, I want to thank Tim Mosley with Carolina Conditions. We are out of time. If you have any questions for Tim, go to my website. Go to Preferred Partners, FrankieGriffin.com, and there you'll find him. Have a great weekend. Been listening to Success in Real Estate.